Have you ever caught yourself bargaining with God? The prayer that starts with praise but quickly becomes a list? The quiet thought that if you just pray a little harder, stay a little pure, the pain will stop or the door will open? Your faith feels like a trade, and maybe you're tired and you don't know why. You still believe, you still show up, but somewhere along the way, devotion began to feel like a transaction you could never quite complete. But what if the whole frame is backward? Psychologists observe something they call extrinsic religiosity, approaching faith as a means to an end. Comfort, community, protection, reward. It's not fake faith. It's just faith that's been quietly shaped into a deal. And when the reward doesn't come or the punishment still feels present even after you've repented, something inside you starts to crack. You begin to wonder, is my love for God real, or am I just afraid of being lost? You may be the kind of person who was taught to love God for heaven and fear hell, and you did. But that love never felt free. It felt like a leash. There is a reason the mystics called paradise itself a veil, because even a gift, when it becomes the goal, can hide the giver. And that quiet exhaustion you feel, that constant measuring of your worth against your outcome, that isn't weak faith. It's a soul that's outgrown a story and doesn't yet have a new one. 12 centuries ago, a woman in Basra saw this with a clarity so fierce, it still burns. She didn't debate theology, she didn't write a treatise. She picked up a torch and a bucket of water, and what she did next reveals a love so pure that even heaven couldn't contain it. Tradition tells us that Rabia al-Adawiya, once a slave, now a sage, walked through the streets of Basra carrying fire in one hand and water in the other. People gathered. They asked, "Where are you going with these?" She said, "I am going to set fire to paradise and pour water on hell, so that both veils may be lifted from the seekers, and they will love God for God alone." She wasn't threatening heaven. She was removing the bribe. Rabia saw what most of us only sense. Fear of punishment is a cage, and desire for reward is a chain. Both keep the heart at a distance from the one it claims to love. And her prayer, recorded in the early annals of the Sufi path, drives the point deeper still. "O God, if I worship you for fear of hell, burn me in hell. And if I worship you for desire of paradise, exclude me from it. But if I worship you for your own sake, do not withhold from me your eternal beauty." That is not disrespect. That is intimacy. It is the moment love stops being a calculation and becomes a fire of its own. Most of us were never taught to pray like that, because it's terrifying to want God and not what God gives. And here is the hidden truth, the one the soul knows but the tongue rarely speaks. The very ache you feel, the sense that something is missing even when you follow the rules, is itself a form of nearness. Longing is not distance, longing is the door. Rumi put it like this: what you seek is seeking you. The restlessness you want to escape is the pull of the divine, drawing you out of bargains and into presence. You are not failing, you are being called deeper. Most of us were taught to fear God or chase paradise, and both can keep us from the one thing he truly asks for. The only reward worthy of love is the lover himself, and that changes everything. It means your exhaustion, your wandering, your confusion, they aren't signs you're doing it wrong. They're signs you're growing out of a faith that was never quite big enough for your soul. The question is no longer, am I good enough to earn heaven? The question is, am I willing to want God more than I want safety? If you've made it this far, you're clearly someone who thinks deeply. That's rare. If you'd like to continue this journey together, consider subscribing. These conversations are better when they find the people who actually need them. Here's a question, not for engagement, but for you alone. When did your love of God last feel like a gift and not a deal? And if you're ready for the next step, the question that follows this story is even harder. If both reward and punishment are veils, what does true intimacy with God actually require of you? Because if heaven itself can become a veil, then maybe the very thing you're clinging to is what's keeping you far.